Hello, everyone. I am Debbie Waidl, and I am here today with Joyce, who is a graduate of the Freedom from Migraine Method. And Joyce has graciously been willing to join us today to be able to share her story with each and every one of you to share a little bit of hope for all of you that have been wondering, why do I still have migraines? Why can't I get rid of these? And maybe you're losing hope that there's actually something that can help. So Joyce is here today to share her story. So welcome, Joyce. Thank you so
Oh,
much for
thank
being
you.
here.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. So let's start off with kind of giving everybody a little bit of an overview of what your life has been like health-wise with migraines. So can you take us back a little ways and kind of give us a picture of what's been happening with you?
Sure. I feel like I always, as an adult, I always had headaches, and I never considered them to be migraines. It never occurred to me that they might be migraines. And they kind of, maybe 15 years ago started to get worse, but I still didn't ever think of them as migraines. And then in 2019, I had a brain aneurysm burst. And after that, I started getting migraines, what were really, they're diagnosed as migraines, um, one or two times a month. They started off once a month. It would be like the same time every
Mm.
month. And then I started getting them a couple of times a month. And then sometimes it was three times a month. And by that time I knew they were migraines, but I just figured, okay, every doctor I went to, all they did was say, okay, here, take this pill. And nobody ever suggested to me that you could do something about migraines and not have them anymore. That wasn't a thing. It was, here, take this medication. Oh, it doesn't work anymore. Okay, take this one that the insurance company said you can have next. And so it was kind of up to the insurance company what I could try.
So you kind of
So,
kept trying those meds, right? And then
yeah.
one would stop and then another one would work? Is that kind of what I'm hearing that you just keep
Yeah,
kind of
or
going through them?
they would have side effects. They would work okay, but they would have side effects. And then I always had the triptans just in case I had a migraine then. So the preventatives, I don't know that they worked. I still had a migraine every month, and
Yeah.
then two a month, and then I had the triptans, and they would only work like a third of the time. And so then I would just have the migraine and I would just have the pain. And then I was afraid to take too many triptans because I didn't want to have the what's that effect where you take too many and bounce back effect or whatever
Yeah,
that's
migraine
called.
overuse headache.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I tried not to take them very much. I would just take one or two, and if it didn't work, that was done for that migraine. And then I just had pain for the next 2, 3 days. And a couple of times I ended up going to urgent care and getting that Toradol shot. And the first couple times I did it, that worked really well.
Hmm.
But the third time it went away for like an hour and then came back. So that wasn't even working anymore. So that's kind of where I was when I discovered you.
Yeah, and I remember something that you said to me when we first met. I'm not really sure that, you should be helping me because I only get migraines once a month. I only get migraines twice a month,
Yeah.
and because I think maybe you'd gone to one of my trainings or seen stuff in the Women's Migraine Freedom group, a lot of women talking about 15 migraines a month, 30
Right.
migraines a month,
Yeah.
having migraines for 30 years. So you
Yes.
probably walked in thinking, this is not the place for me.
I did. I felt like I didn't really deserve to be in a group like this. Plus, there's the money aspect. Well, maybe I shouldn't spend a bunch of money because it's not that bad. But then then I happened to watch a training of yours, and at the time I was like on day 3 of a migraine. I was like, I'm watching this, and I watched it, and it said, make an appointment, go here and make an appointment. And I said, I'm just going to make an appointment. And so I made an appointment, and then I talked to you, and you said you don't have to have migraines. You can control this, and you can get rid of your migraines. And I thought, okay, then I'm doing this. So
Yeah, so even though you only had them a couple times a month, and I'm just using your words, right? I think
Right.
one migraine is one too many. But
Yes.
even, you had them a couple times a month, why was it worth it to you to get rid of them?
Oh, because I was losing so much time. I would lose 3 days at a time just lying in bed for 3 days, doing nothing. And, I'd buy groceries planning to cook these things during the week. And then I didn't have this migraine for 3 days and then didn't feel very well. And then by the time I got back to these vegetables, I had to throw them away.
Mhm.
I'm wasting all this
Yeah,
money um, because my life, would just stop for 3 days.
yeah.
And that was pretty frustrating. And
Yeah, that is frustrating. If you multiply that out, 12 by 3 is 36. So that's over a month of your life every single year, you were dealing with some sort of pain.
right. Yeah.
When we think about it that way, it's like, I don't want to give a month of my time to anything unless it's a vacation
Right.
and
Right.
family,
Hmm.
something that I want to do.
Yeah,
Speaking of which, you got to just go on a vacation recently, didn't
I
you?
did. And it worked out really, really well. I was a little worried. I'd been doing the program for November, December, January, so for like 3 months.
Hmm.
And I was at the point where my head was just feeling really good. And so I went to New Zealand for 3 weeks and, ate out every meal and it was good. It worked out fine. And then coming back, I had gone on a vacation the year before where coming back, you can't sleep on the plane, and so
Hmm.
your sleep is all disrupted. And then I got a migraine right away when I came back from Ireland the year before, but this time I didn't get any migraine coming back either. So I considered it a huge win.
Yeah, that is a huge win because really the average time that we work with women is somewhere between 4 and 6 months. That's usually the amount of time it kind of takes to peel back those layers, figure out what's going on, find where that inflammation is coming from.
Hmm.
And taking a trip like that, even though it's a wonderful experience, it can bring in more inflammatory type things.
Hmm.
Like you said, you're eating out. You don't know
Right,
exactly, of course I'm sure looking at the menu, picking good choices, but you don't know exactly what's going in there, what oil they're
right.
using, cross-contamination, all that.
Yeah.
So you clearly did some great work of reducing that inflammation to allow yourself to be able to make some of those choices that you could, so you can enjoy your trip, which is, and
Hmm.
like you said, the sleep.
Right.
I love
Yeah.
travel, but man, I wish I could sleep on a plane.
Oh, I know. Yeah. That's the hardest part, I think, because your sleep is so disrupted.
It really is. It really is. So let's think about if we hadn't met, about 4 or 5 months ago, whatever it is now.
Hmm.
How do you think your life would look today?
Oh, I think it would be just like it was. I would probably be having like 3 migraines a month and, so like 8, 9 days. And and then on the third day, going to urgent care and seeing if they could do something. And that I'm sure that's where I'd be because nothing would have changed. So,
Yeah, that had to be exhausting going to urgent care, just kind of running through that list, going to urgent care, trying to get the help every month. I can imagine that gave you a little bit of anxiety too. I know I would have been worried, like, oh my gosh, here it comes again. When is it
right,
coming?
right.
You know?
And what are they gonna think that I'm coming in? It's too soon since the last time.
Really, it's not like drugs that I want. It's relief I want,
Right.
which
Yeah.
they didn't even give you relief because, as you now know, as much as medication can be helpful in the moment, sometimes to reduce the pain, it's just a, suppression tool,
Hmm. Right.
not a root cause tool.
Right.
Um, what else has kind of changed in your life? Has anything else changed health wise from taking this time to work on yourself?
Well, I was already working on myself anyway. My sister and I have been doing a lot of work on ourselves, and so I don't know that that's changed, but I'm definitely much more aware of like prodromes. I'd say I'm much more self-aware
Hmm.
of, how I'm feeling and when my body's saying, no, that's enough, don't do any more. And oh, my head's hurting a little bit. I better look at the electrolytes. And so I'm much more aware of what's going on with my body, I think.
And that is probably the most important thing that I hope everyone gets out of their time in the Freedom from Migraine method is that you are in control of your body. And when we listen, you can make those choices before the pain sets in or
Right.
before something sets in. So being self-aware is huge and man, saves you so many visits to the doctor
It
that
does.
weren't
It
helping you
does.
anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you're going to have a whole bunch of women that are going to be watching this. So what would you like to say to them? Because I'm sure just like you, where you're like, I don't know if this is right for me. I don't know if I need this. I
Right.
don't know if I want to deal with all the time and the investment to do this when it's not that big of a deal. What would you say to that woman who is listening?
I would say definitely do it. It's so worth the money. Yes, it's time, and yes, it's kind of stressful to have to put in that time, but to get rid of migraines, I mean, that's huge. That's
Mm,
huge. And to
yeah,
not have to miss all those days every month and to be in charge of your own body and how you feel and realize that you have the power
yeah.
to feel the way you want to feel. And I was telling you earlier, I had one migraine about a month ago, but it was not nearly as bad. I
Hmm.
think because maybe I've got the inflammation down a little bit now, and it's so worth the time and the effort. So you have to put in 3 months of it is a lot of time. It's a lot of time recording your food and recording when you drink water and all that. And but if you do it and you really do all of the things in the program, it works. And so
Yeah.
why would you not do it?
Yeah. And you're spending 3 months where you're not doing it every single moment.
Right.
But before, with one migraine a month, losing 3 days, so that's 36 days out of your year. So when you do the math, you've given yourself so much more time back.
Right. Right. That's true.
You have
That's
to put
true.
that time investment in up front, but man, now you don't have to worry about that in the future. Like you said, if a
Right.
migraine pops in, it's totally different. Severity, duration, frequency, much less. And as you continue to heal and learn and grow, they'll just become less and less until
Hmm.
next thing you know, you're not even considering yourself someone, that gets migraines.
Right. Yeah, which I think is just awesome. And to not have to have that neurologist anymore. I can just ignore that now. I don't
I
have to
know
see
they're
him
amazing.
anymore.
Yeah, they're amazing people when we need them, but
Right.
they have their place, and their place is symptom suppression.
Hmm.
And of course, we would always encourage if someone is concerned, please go to a neurologist and make sure there isn't
Sure.
something serious going on.
Hmm.
Absolutely, right?
Right.
But once you know when the neurologist has said, okay, you have migraines, well, now we have to remember that neurologist job is just to symptom suppress.
Right.
You
And
got
he
to
just
find,
goes down his list of what the insurance company said I can take.
yes, that is
Because I wanted to
exactly it.
jump to those new migraine medications. Oh, no, no, we have to go through every triptan before we can do that. And
Yes. Yeah. And every country, because I work with women all across the world, every country is a little different as to what their list is and how they go through it. It's so funny. I just spoke with someone in the UK and it's like, or in Canada, actually, I'm sorry. And they bring nerve blocks in much sooner than we do.
oh, uh-huh.
But it's all, their universal health care. Our healthcare is different. But
Right.
yeah, it's a game. It's all a little
Yeah.
symptom suppression game, which I am not anti reducing pain in the moment.
Hmm.
Because who wants to be in pain? I took my fair share of triptans,
Hmm.
trust me, and amitriptyline and many other things. But I'm so glad that I was able to find a way to get to the root cause so I never have to touch those again in my life. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad
Yeah.
that
That's awesome.
you don't have to worry about that either. But well, this was wonderful. I so appreciate you sharing your time, sharing your story. I know it's going to mean so much to so many people.
Well, I hope so. I hope it's helpful to someone.
It will be helpful to someone. Well, Joyce, thank you so much for your time. And everyone watching, please, if there's anything that we can do, if you have any questions, just reach out. The easiest way is freedom@wweidl.com, and a member of my team will reach right back out and we'll find that support that you need to achieve your migraine freedom. All right, everybody, have a great day. Take care. Thank you.